Hello, welcome to Monsters and Maniacs, the show where we talk about depraved, disturbed, and dark individuals who have walked this earth. My name is Tom, and sitting next to me is our co-host, Mark Green.
So.
It's a great intro. You want to maybe expand on that?
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Green.
Alright. So today we're going to be talking about Edmund Kemper, aka the co-ed killer. What's his other name there, Mark?
Bumblebutt.
Now, the reason why he's called bumblebutt is because he actually gave himself that nickname because he couldn't speak to women. But I mostly think it's because he had a big old butt. So, we'll start off with... He was born in 1949 to Clarnell and Edmund Emil Kemper. Sorry, I nearly got the pronunciation wrong there. Emil Kemper II. So Edmund Kemper was actually Edmund Kemper III. So, I mean, I found that there's quite a lot of conjunction with people who are juniors or seconds or thirds, or if they just have a shitty name in general. They tend to become a bit of a weirdo.
Especially when your middle name's Anal.
Exactly, yeah. He wasn't really expected to do much in life, was he, I think, with that name?
No, definitely not.
But anyway, so his parents were had a very tumultuous marriage. Like his own father said that he preferred working on nuclear tests in the Pacific than being married to his own wife. So that says a lot about Clarnell, doesn't it? I just can't say the name without...
Who has like a daughter who's like, you know what would be a beautiful name for this beautiful little baby? Clarnell.
I'd say they'd probably have to be living in the backwoods of like Alabama or something for that, you know.
Probably.
Hey Clarnell, how'd you go feed the cows?
Just like swamp people.
Clarnell, quit riding your cousin and get out of here. Now, we're not implying that Clarnell was incest or thingy, but she probably was very mentally ill.
Yeah.
She believed that Edmund Kemper was going to molest his sisters from as early as the age of 7. And
It sounds like she's doing something wrong there. Like, when you've got a 7-year-old that's going to molest your fucking other daughter. Am I allowed to swear?
Oh yeah, go for it.
It's going to molest your other children.
This is an uncensored podcast.
It just sounds like, you're doing something wrong as a parent when you think your 7-year-old's going to rape your other children.
Although, to be fair, going about how Edmund Kemper actually turned out, she probably wasn't that far off, you know?
Yeah.
So at the age of, I think it was 10, wasn't it? At the age of 10, he killed his first cat, and that's part of what we call the McDonald's triad in sensing a sociopath or a psychopath.
What? The McDonald triad? Sorry.
Yeah, there's a...
How do you explain that for listeners?
Yeah, I mean, basically there's 3... if a kid tends to do this when they're younger, these 3 things, then they'll probably turn out to be a serial killer. One of them is cruelty to animals. Yeah. So obviously he's shown that by burying his cat alive in the back garden. Yeah. So yeah, that's quite an escalation. Considering it's his first ever kill, he buries something alive. Yeah. You know.
Not very nice.
The second one is arson. You know. So if a kid's setting a lot of fires, they could turn out to be a serial killer. Yeah. And the third one is probably not what you would expect, but it's bedwetting. Oh. Like if they're wetting the bed at a very late age, then it could indicate that they're emotionally disconnected from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Oh. But so it shows that he's already showing signs of him being a bit of a weirdo.
Bit of a weirdo.
Now Clarnell was
a
bit of a weirdo.
Just a bit weird.
Yeah, just a smidge. Clarnell was an alcoholic, and she probably had borderline personality disorder. Now, what people tend to get with this mental disorder is they'll either have an extreme attachment to people or none at all. Yeah. You know, and so it may not be with particular people, but she was married 3 times. And each time she was very scared that her husband would leave her. And they did.
Well, I mean, I would too.
Yeah, true.
An alcoholic 6-foot giant woman called Clarnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thanks, love.
And to be fair, she wasn't very loving towards her son as well.
Yeah.
She wouldn't actually even really touch him for fears of turning him gay. So.
Yeah. The absence of the touch of woman will prevent you from being gay, guys out there, all the listeners.
Pretty
if you
sure
have a
it's the
kid,
opposite.
keep women away, otherwise you'll become gay.
Always wear gloves. But so this about age of 13, I think, he starts to portray his dark fantasies out into the real world. So what he did is he likes to play this game called Execution. Do you want to guess what maybe that game entailed?
Was it Execution? Nice.
Yeah, well, it was execution of some sorts. He would get his sister's dolls and he would decapitate them.
Oh, nice.
And you'll find a lot with Edmund Kemper is he likes decapitating. That is his thing.
Yeah.
You know, some people have crafts, some people have, you know, podcasts, whereas Edmund Kemper had the lovely act of cutting off someone's head. And he then did this to his second cat. And I mean, really, he buried his first cat and he got him another cat. So I don't really think they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, he must have said, like, oh, it's just run away. Or like, oh, I wonder where Mr. Fluffy is. He's not been home in
No, I'm
2
pretty
weeks.
sure they found the first cat.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What the fuck?
I think he did. I think he buried that under his mother's window. Like,
And and he's like, oh yeah, we'll get him another cat.
yeah, you know, we'll get another cat. And then what he did with this one is he cut off the head, like he likes to do.
Yeah.
And then he kept the remains inside his cupboard. So
It's smelly.
yeah, a bit smelly.
I bet he wouldn't have got away with that for long. Must have been quite soon that he got found out.
So far we've found out that Edmund Kemper is a bit of a weirdo.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Big boy.
Bit of a bumblebutt.
Bumblebutt.
And well, he quite likes taking off heads.
Yeah. I know someone. So I don't. You can cut this out if you want, but I think it's. I know a guy. Well, I say I know him. I know of him.
Oh, right. Okay.
The town that I live in when I'm not here. And this, like, it was prominent when I was growing up. And like, my ex told me about him because she was like in the area that she lived in.
Okay.
And he'd go around like killing cats and skinning them.
Wow. Yeah.
But like no one found. Like, loads of people knew who he was, but no one, like the police didn't find him or anything like that because no one like obviously told. Because if the guy going around skinning cats, you're not going to write him out to the police, are you? If you're a 14-year-old, you don't want to get skinned yourself.
True.
Yeah, well there you go. I don't know what's happened to him now.
Well, it's probably off decapitating women.
It's
So.
probably yeah.
You might want to have a catch up with your ex, see if she's still alive, you know?
Yeah. Episode 25, the investigation of the cat skinner.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was something like that in the news a few years ago. It was someone in, I think, London was... well, they weren't skinning the cats, they were cutting off the tails of them and killing them.
That's not fair.
Yeah, and...
I suppose you kill them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But, you know, we'll probably be hearing about them later
Yeah.
on. Like, later on in a few years, we'll probably find out who they were.
I'll put some feelers out when I go back home. see if we can find anything out.
We can do a full investigation into the cat killings.
We'll hire a van, we'll get some cameras, and we'll have a stakeout.
I've actually got a podcast idea for this guy that killed loads of cats. Like he was really sexually fucked up. He liked the act of it, you know. But yeah, so now we'll get to Edmund Kemper. He was he was in the second grade, right? He had a bit of an obsession with his teacher, and what he used to do is he used to go outside her window, and he used to have a bayonet. He would just stand there.
Her window at home, or
her window at home?
Oh, that's worse. How did he find out where she lives? That's what I want to. Second grade, what's that like?
I know it'd be pretty hard to be followed by a 6 foot something. Although he is in the second grade, I don't think he's 6 foot quite yet.
Yeah, probably not.
He's probably about the size of me in second grade, so you know.
How old would you be?
Second grade, that's probably about 12 or 13, right?
Is it?
Oh no, hang on. No.
It's like 6th grade, isn't it?
No, oh yeah, because this is middle school, isn't it, in terms of America?
Yeah.
I think it was probably about 7 or 8 then.
Yeah.
So oh no, I think it was about 10. It was about the same time as the other cat.
Okay, yeah.
But so he had a bit of an obsession with his teacher.
Yeah.
And later on, his sister was on the stand after the crimes had been committed, obviously, and the prosecutors asked what actually happened during this time, and his sister used to make a bit of fun of him for liking his second grade teacher. Said, "Oh, do you want to kiss her? Do you want to kiss her?" And do you know what the response to that was?
What was the response to that, or do I have to say it?
Do you want to say it? I mean, it depends.
He responded with, "I would have to kill her first," or something like that, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I wanted to kiss her, I'd have to kill her first.
Kill her.
No, that's almost like someone joking around with you saying, "Oh, if I'd have to tell you that, I'd have to kill you."
Yeah, yeah.
Except he was very serious. I don't think he liked, let's say, alive people.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't. You know, I guess you can't really say if he was. I guess he was attracted to the people that he killed.
Yeah.
But only when they were dead.
Yeah, a bit of a necrophile.
Exactly. Yeah. He was a budding necrophile.
Budding necrophile.
So in 1957, Kemper's dad then left. So, you know. So this made little Eddie a little upset, maybe. You know. Then so he was 15, right? He was now 6'4" at 15 years old.
That's bigger than I'll ever be.
Yeah. And then, so what his mum used to do is used to make him sleep in a basement, in a trapdoor. Here, Eddie would just think about cutting off the heads of dead women. Stop.
Okay. Sorry.
Probably think about cutting off the heads of dead women.
Yeah.
And, well, one thing that he liked to do is he liked to do what we call skull fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get to that a little later on in the episode. But for now, he's 15 and he moves to his grandparents. Now, his grandparents were relatively nice people, also is said, except for his grandmother, because apparently his dad liked his grandmother so far that he actually married someone that acted almost exactly the same as him.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, because apparently she was very similar to Clarnell.
Oh, God. Was she similar, or were they the same person?
Wow, I've never thought of that before.
You heard it here first, folks. Breakthrough.
You heard it here first, folks. Edmund Kemper is officially inbred.
Yeah.
So, this wasn't very nice for Edmund Kemper because, well, he'd been living with his mother, who was a very controlling and domineering person, and then he moved to his grandmother's, who was apparently very much similar.
Yeah.
So one day they got into an argument, and then Kemper shot her in the head with his grandfather's gun, because when he first moved to his grandfather's and grandmother's, they immediately gave him a gun.
Like any sane person would.
Yeah. If someone has killed 2 cats, stalked their teacher, and was literally shipped off to your house because they were too much for their own parents, you give them a gun.
Yeah,
you know?
Smart idea. America 100.
Yeah, because at the time he was in the Boy Scouts, and Boy Scouts is pretty much like it raises serial killers. Like Boy Scouts is something for serial killers.
Yeah.
Like it teaches
anyone that has to wear those shorts.
Exactly. I was a Boy Scout myself.
Oh,
like you know.
So give it a couple of years. And
yeah, you know, they teach you how to tie knots. You know, how to get great nooses.
Yeah.
You know, how to stab someone very effectively.
Fair enough.
And also how to skin animals as well.
I don't think I'll be putting my kids in Boy Scouts.
But then, and then his grandfather came back and he shot him in the head again.
Good aim.
Yeah.
Or very close up.
And the reason he did this is because he didn't want his grandfather to see his dead grandmother, which...
I suppose that's nice. It's out of compassion, but it's just fucking weird for killers.
I mean, some would say out of compassion. Some might even say that he's just saying that for the audience, because Edmund Kemper was quite the storyteller.
Yeah.
He loved to talk. He was one of the main inspirations for the behavioural science unit in the FBI, because essentially he was a bit of a blabbermouth.
Yeah.
He was a bumblebutt and a blabbermouth.
Bumblebutt and a blabbermouth. And for his grandfather, It was.
Game over.
This is gonna sound so shit in post, but like.
Ah, fuck it, you know. All right, so we'll get on to the next chapter in Edmund Kemper's life, where he was sent to a mental hospital in Atascadero. Atascadero, yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in America.
So this was where he was first tested for his IQ, where he got a 145.
Good score.
Yeah, it's
Solid
5
score.
less below genius.
Yeah.
Which, you know, very intelligent, but he didn't use his intelligence for the right things.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I've heard that IQ is more for. It doesn't like actually say how smart you are, but it's more about what like processing capability your brain has.
Exactly, like logic and stuff like that. Yeah.
How to murder people.
Exactly. Yeah, but that is very common, isn't it? You find a lot of serial killers have a very high IQ because that's how they've managed to evade cops for so long. Because they're using their intelligence, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Kemper, if he wasn't if he wasn't a serial killer, probably would have made quite a good cop. Except he was rejected quite a few times.
Yeah. I think that, to be fair, that was probably because of his past, like with mental.
Oh no, it wasn't actually.
Oh,
do you want to know the real reason why he wasn't? He was too tall.
I mean, fair enough. He was almost 7 foot.
Yeah.
Which is a ridiculous height for anyone to be. If you're above 5'11", listeners, you are a freak.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he was 6'9" and he was almost 300 pounds as well. So not only was he a tall boy, he was also a big boy.
Big tall boy.
Yeah, big tall boy, but big tall glass of milk, you know. But the thing is, he was that tall, and even if you saw him walking midday, like I'd still be terrified of him.
Yeah.
Like if I had to get a neck massage every time I see you, like I'm pretty sure I'm going to be terrified every single time.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to bend my neck all the way up, and so if someone would karate chop like in the neck, my neck would just snap right there. Like if I was looking up at someone like that size,
it's just so brittle.
Yeah, exactly. So he's now he's in this. He's 15. He's in this. Well, I think he's 16 at the time. He's in this asylum, and he makes friends with all of with his psychiatrists, and he gets a little volunteering job, let's say, in the archives. And in the archives, it would show basically all of these cases where women have been raped and murdered, and essentially how the person responsible got caught for it. Yeah. And he would read all of these, and he would learn. You know, he used his intelligence in the wrong way. Yeah. And you know, I mean, I guess one could say it's quite resourceful. Like, you know, where would be the best place for a criminal to be inside a criminal archives room?
Yeah. To be fair.
You know, but
very, very smart of him. Very, you know, very, very switched on of him to pick that out.
But at the same time, he was masturbating in the archive room, like, you know, because he was a bit turned on by all of it, you know.
Well, why wouldn't you be?
As we said, a little bit of a weirdo.
Little bit of a weirdo.
So at the age of 21, he was released from Atascadero.
Against the doctor's advice.
Yes, definitely. Every single doctor was like, all right, maybe he can go out, but do not make him move in with his mother. He immediately moved in with his mother. That's the thing. I don't see why she was so controlling over him when it kind of shows that she doesn't want him. Like, she doesn't want him, but yet she was always calling him, always obsessing over what he was doing. And that's because she was just a bit afraid that he was going out raping and murdering, which she was kind of right, you know?
With her track record of being, you know, scared of people leaving her, I think she didn't want him when he was there, but also didn't want him to leave.
Oh, yeah, like one of those exes that, like, you know... So she's basically just an overprotective ex.
Yeah. The kind that won't let you talk to new girls, but doesn't want you either.
So, in 1969, he was released from the asylum and put back into the care of his mother, Clarnell. Yep. I just had to say her name one more time, just to emphasise that. What was that?
I don't know.
So, she was working as basically a secretary in a university nearby. Yeah. And, well, this is where he starts to get a little bit of an obsession with college girls. Because, well, considering that he was put in the asylum at 16, released at 21, he didn't really have much of a experience with women. You know? Considering that his only ever crush, he said that he had to kill her to be able to kiss her, then... I'm pretty sure he was accurate in his statement that he was a bit of a bumblebutt around women.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you would be if the entire period of your puberty you were locked away, away from real women.
Also, during this time was the hippie movement. Like a lot of sexual freedom was being like sort of advertised, I guess.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really. He didn't really get the chance to act on any of that. Because, although to be fair, I don't even know if he would. Like, assuming the fact that
I don't think he would have.
I don't think he could get hard for people who are alive. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would have mattered either way, really.
Yeah.
But so then he started living by himself for a little bit in terms of near the same area where his mother lived until he ran out of money, and then he went back to his mother. So then the killing starts. This is what he'd do: is he would essentially he got a car and he would go around picking up hitchhikers. Yeah. Since at the time there were a lot of them. You know, like it was the 60s. Like people were hitchhiking all over the place because there weren't many cars. Yeah. And people were poor.
Yeah, and people back then were just more trusting, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
Until they got murdered.
This was like the time before peak sort of serial killer knowledge.
Yeah.
So he would pick up these women, and he said that for the first few times he would never actually act on anything. He would only fantasize in his head about what he would do. And then he started his very first kill. Yeah. Which was actually 2 people at once. He killed 2 women.
2 for 1 special.
Yeah. So talk about escalation. If we're counting the cats that he's killed, like first he buries it alive, then he decapitates the one and puts it in his room. Then he shoots his grandparents in the head, which I'd say is the most mild of all of his killings.
Most merciful as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, he must have had an emotional connection to them. Otherwise, he would have done something worse, wouldn't he?
Maybe that's because of family and whatnot. Yeah. But then
so
the third
4 kill streak so far.
But then we're going for the double, which was Mary Ann Pesci and Anita Lucchesa.
Good names.
They were both students at the university that his mother worked at, Berkeley. He then took them to a wooded area where he then they said he intended to rape them, but then he panicked. And he ended up stabbing and choking them both.
He also was reported to be using a 9mm Browning automatic pistol that he had been lent by his mate. Someone had decided it was a good idea to give him, or to lend him, a fucking automatic pistol.
Well, that was the thing at the time. I think his juvie records, his mental hospital records were actually sealed. So I don't think they actually... Because it was only about... It was actually during the time of the killings that he'd only just been exonerated. Well, not exonerated, but like it had been...
Made public.
Well, no. I mean, clear, like it would have been... not... What's the word? Where they cover it up, like... Expunged, right? Yeah, expunged. But his file had just been expunged, and he was actually having, there were probation officers visiting him very regularly. And during one of these points, he had a head in his car. He was visited by a probation person, and he had just had a head in his car.
Yeah, as you do. Just
Yeah.
Don't you just hate it when you leave the head in your boot and it's a hot sunny day and you come back to the car and it stinks?
Do you know what? Actually, he uses almost the same logic that for his grandparents that he did for his first 2 victims, that he only killed the one because he didn't want the other one to see that they were dead. Yeah. I mean, it's fairly obvious he probably intended to kill both of them.
Mm-hmm. I suppose in that extent you can sort of work out, well, I think anyway, he's got sort of, there's something about his head that's quite childish, that's scared of one person finding out what he's done to the other one.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like an immature sort of philosophy. But then he then put their bodies in his trunk. He drove over to his house, and on the way, a police officer actually stopped him and for a broken tail light, but didn't search the car. Nice. So he got away with his first 2.
Oh yeah, and he says in here that he also had, his car looked a bit like a police cruiser. Had a CB radio in it with a whip aerial. Yeah. And he also had Well, there was like police school badges as well.
That's because he was friends with a lot of cops.
Yeah.
He used to go to this cop bar called the Jury Room.
Yeah.
And which doesn't really make sense, really, if cops don't want to go to a jury room, do they?
Yeah.
Like, but still, what they used to call him, they used to call him a groupie, a cop groupie, where he would essentially just hang out with them, listen to their stories, and just be a bit of a bumblebutt.
Yeah,
you know?
a bit of a bumblebutt.
So his friend, like his cop friends, gave him a trainee badge, and also like a little. I think they actually gave him handcuffs at one point as well.
Yeah, yeah, and he used them on one of the girls that he killed.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So he got home with the bodies, and so then what he did is he raped them.
Nice.
Tore them apart, like in terms of cutting them up.
Yeah.
And then he put them all into plastic bags and disposed of them in a river, in a ravine. Sorry.
Yeah.
So then he was done with those two. He went out on the prowl again.
Yeah.
This was a 15-year-old next. Her name was Aiko Ku.
Aiko Ku.
Yeah, like Sudoku, but you know, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of demographic was she?
She was Asian. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's a picture of her.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
bit young to be going out hitchhiking, isn't she? Was she hitchhiking or was it something else?
I'm pretty sure she was hitchhiking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of them were.
Yeah, but she brought it upon herself.
Well, you know, I guess in the time people didn't know that if you're going to hitchhike, you're going to die. You know.
Actually, right. I was watching. My friend sent me a video, which is like like a public service announcement. I think it was on the TVs in America in like the 60s. Mm-hmm. And it's saying, it's like warning people for going out for hitchhiking. Not about murder. It's saying if you go out and you're trying to thumb a ride and you get into the car and the man's too friendly and he's asking too many personal questions too quickly, you could be in danger of catching homosexuality.
Or there could be a priest, you know, one or the other.
Genuinely, like
either way, you're getting molested.
Oh, what's that? Our phone is ringing.
Hang on.
Hello.
You going?
I have to go. And then.
Is it carrying on?
I don't know, but I'm testing it.
I think it is. Yeah, you can see the thing.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So.
Cut that bit out.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back from the break that never was. So,
yeah. That break didn't happen. We don't have to say welcome back.
So back to hitchhiking, right? What was the thing that you were talking?
Yeah.
About the guy. Have you ever been hitchhiking?
No.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's dodgy.
Quite a few times, but.
Oh God, I almost picked a hitchhiker up once. Well, I was in.
How was that experience?
So I really wanted to do it. To be fair.
Oh, did you actually end up doing it?
I didn't have to do it. I stopped and I talked to him.
I've got some weird hitchhiker stories.
But then it turned out I was going we're going the same way, but I was taking a different route past the bit he wanted to get off at. Mm-hmm. And it's probably a good thing. Yeah. Because he looked, proper like dreadlocks, gap year, hippie type lad. I'm glad I didn't give him a lift.
So he just looked like a hippie.
Yeah.
It's like you could have essentially just been going around in the 60s and like. Yeah. But I've been hitchhiking quite a few times. Like there's always something that happens every time you go hitchhiking, right? Yeah. Is there will, like the people who pick you up will always tell you shouldn't be hitchhiking. Yeah. And we could be serial killers, you know. And I always look at them and I'm like, don't say that shit. Like I'm in the car with you. Don't say that shit.
Don't play with me, man.
Exactly. I was just there like, look, if I have to crash this car, I fucking will. I'll cover your eyes. I don't care. I will be like a fucking monkey on his shoulders.
I will kill us both.
Yeah, I'll be on a monkey on his shoulders. I won't get off. Like, you know. So Edmund he kills this. He picks up Aiko Ku. Yeah, I mean I guess that. Shit, I can't. Alright, so he picks her up, and during this, so this is another example of Edmund Kemper being a bit of a bumblebutt, right?
Bumblebutt.
So he accidentally locked himself out of the car.
Nice.
When he was trying to do something to her, and then she actually let him back in. he persuaded her to let him back in to
What
the car.
a retard. Right. I mean, come on. Even for a 15-year-old, that's stupid.
I mean, I wouldn't say victim blaming is one of the things, but
yeah.
you know, she kind of let him back into the car.
Yeah.
So he did pretty much the same thing. He would cut off the head. He'll have sex with the head. Oh no. So early 1973, Kemper.
No, that's not the one that I meant to press.
Yeah, I don't think that's really appropriate for this podcast. This baby laughing. Maybe if we do one on child murder, we can do one on that. But
This is what I'm trying to get the fatality one. It's just not working. Yeah, that's the best I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck.
I don't think this is his theme tune, you know.
Yeah, maybe not.
Actually, this is probably what he would have listened to if he was picking up hitchhikers. And like, just before then, he was like, duh, duh, duh. He probably thought of himself as a bit of a Mr. T.
Might be listening to something more like this. Never mind, I've lost it. I'll find it. Oh, just you wait. What the fuck? Oh, here it is.
Oh, yeah, he would actually. Considering his like father's like military history, probably like.
Yeah.
So another thing about Edmund Kemper is he liked to think of himself as a little bit of a badass, and he liked motorcycles quite a lot.
Bit of a bad boy.
Yeah.
No radio show.
Well, you know, he's definitely listening to that like as he's walking around. But he bought a motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
He crashed it
Nice.
immediately. Great. Because I think his butt was a bit too big, like to even sit on.
Bit of a bumblebutt.
Yeah, exactly, a bit of a bumblebutt. But the thing is, he then bought another motorcycle.
Nice.
He crashed it again.
Nice.
That's when he bought his car.
Yeah.
Like, it's because I think at that point he realised it wasn't for him.
I'm not cool enough to ride a motorbike.
What I kind of imagine like is Edmund Kemper when he's riding on a bike is, you know that meme with the orangutan when they're riding the tricycle chasing after the girl. You know, if the girl was co-ed killer, if the girls were co-eds and the orangutan was a Kemper, he'd be chasing that shit down. Except probably very slowly, so I don't think he could probably run very fast. You know?
No, probably not.
I think he'd probably get on a careful, like, paced jog and then run out within like 2 minutes.
He's probably one of those lads that, you know, if he got...
Oh god, can you just imagine Edmund Kemper doing squats?
I could stand behind him, right, and he could squat, and his arse would be in level with my head. Like, his arse would just swallow my head. Like, he's that fucking big that...
He could just sit on you and just swallow your whole...
Yeah, if he crouched next to me, it'd be the same height. To be fair, actually, I said that hyperbolically, but it's probably fucking true.
Yeah, yeah.
Listeners, I'm not small. I'm not that short.
Are you a big boy like Kemper?
I'm not a big boy like Kemper. Mummy says I'm a big boy. Oh, well, that sounded bad, didn't it?
Yeah, especially since we are going on to mothers.
Yeah.
So...
Bless you.
This was a classic example of Edmund Kemper's humour. Was he buried one of the dismembered heads? He dismembered. No.
Cut off a head.
Did I say he dismembered a buried head? All right. So.
Nice.
He dismembered and buried a head right underneath his mother's window, because his mother always wanted to have people look up to her.
That's not what I expected at all.
What the fuck? But yeah, so 1973. Then he then went for the source of the his anger.
Yeah.
He went for his mother.
Nice.
So this is truly where it gets a bit fucked up. So
a little bit fucked up, guys. Not that fucked. A little bit fucked up.
He got a hammer,
Yeah.
right? He just hit her in the head a few times. You know, a little bit of a bish bash bosh and all done. So she was sleeping.
Yeah.
I assume she suffered too much.
Yeah.
She probably suffered a lot throughout her life because she was the mother of Edmund Kemper.
Yeah.
So.
Bet she didn't even know what hit her.
So then he goes another step. He then cuts off the head. He likes that, doesn't he?
Yes.
He then had sex with her head.
Ooh.
And I'm not sure exactly where, if it was oral or if it was the little hole from the neck.
Well, thinking about that, I know we talked about this.
Do you think about that often, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Where to rape a severed head.
Yeah. Because there's so many options.
It's one of the things that...
I didn't know how he'd killed her before. So he bashed her in the head with a hammer. So that means there's now 3 holes.
True. There might be more.
Yeah, but then you don't want to. I suppose you don't want to cut your dick in the skull bone. Skull bones.
I don't think he would care.
Taking this into too much detail.
He was a bit small, you know. I don't think he could have really gotten that far.
For everyone out there, I don't rape severed heads. I'm just. It was.
To be fair, I don't even think he could have reached her brain matter when he raped her head.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it was just a little bit. I think he was very big in every other department except for his genitals.
Didn't have enough blood to power everything. So.
Yeah, all focused on his legs. That's why.
Yeah.
So then he got his mother's head.
Yes.
He after having sex with it, he then placed it on a shelf, used it as a dartboard.
Oh.
So now there's more and more holes in her head. So a little bit more access, let's say, to. Then he cut out her tongue.
Yep.
And her throat, put it in the garbage disposal.
Yes.
And he did this because she wouldn't stop shutting up.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, fair enough to him. Women, right?
To be fair, I like Ed Kemper's sense of humour. It's just the method. I'd say he's a bit of a method actor. You know, he'll go all into the role.
Yeah.
You know, he won't just practice his lines. He'll cut off a head and practice his lines to the head.
Yeah.
You know,
a bit like.
He likes an audience.
Like
I think.
Shakespeare. Was it Shakespeare?
What, did he do that also?
No, I didn't think that. Obviously, the popular. I think it's from Hamlet. The popular image of someone holding up a skull and.
Oh, true. Yeah, there is that.
To be or not to be.
Wow.
I murdered my mother.
Do you know what? Edmund Kemper was just a thespian. We just didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he just takes it a little
massively misunderstood individual. I
kind of think that's the sound he makes every time he walks. You know, it's like.
Every time he sits down.
All right. So then he invited his mother's best friend. Now, usually when someone would do that, it means they go fuck, right?
Yeah.
If you invite your mother's best friend somewhere.
MILF.
You're gonna fuck, right? She's gonna be taking that D.
You're gonna be taking that D.
You know, but so what he did is he then murdered her and he stole a car.
This is long. I'm sorry. How do I stop it?
Didn't mean to make you nervous, motherfucker.
What? Right. What I was going for there. I was trying to find a button that just said MILF.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
It might be.
That's just a thing for song, right?
Yeah.
It's my what?
I don't know, mate.
Alright, so.
There we go.
Oh,
That's
there we go.
I'm
That's
gonna like that one.
Alright, we'll play it again.
MILF.
I love the sound of that one.
Yeah.
Alright, so then he drove to Colorado. But then he didn't hear anything about the murders, like when he was over there, you know?
Yeah.
He ended up calling the police himself and confessing to them. Yeah.
Way to ruin the game, Ed.
The funniest thing is, right, they didn't believe him. At first, they didn't believe him.
I suppose if you walk in and be like, oh yeah, I'm the guy that killed all these people, he'd just be like, alright mate, yeah, sure.
Yeah. To be fair, he's got a little bit of a piggy face, so I wouldn't really... Like, he looks like the type of person who would snort every time he laughs, you know?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really take him very seriously in anything.
Yeah.
But then, he admitted it all again. Then they asked him why he turned himself in, and he said the original purpose was gone. I just said to hell with it and called it all off.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's a bit of an anticlimactic ending as to why he would stop all these. He was just like, I wanted to.
But
it's because he killed his mother, I think, you know, originally. But then he also killed after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
I think in a way, even though it's anticlimactic, in a way, I think it's right for him. For the story, it's right. You know, it sort of perfectly suits his personality to be like, no.
He was quite the narrator. Like he liked to sort of tell what had happened.
Yeah, yeah. And then when I guess like the romance in it had gone, Yeah, that was it. And he was like, yeah, fuck it, let's call it
To be
off.
fair, I don't think there's much romance in skull fucking, but you know.
Well, yeah.
I mean, each to their own.
Yeah.
You know. I guess he wasn't probably.
Why
a big
do
fan
on a
of Shakespeare.
Thursday night is nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
None of your business.
He was probably he probably wasn't sitting at home reading romance novels. He was probably looking at decapitated heads and fucking them.
Yeah, okay.
So he was then arrested, convicted of 8 first-degree murders.
Yeah.
He attempted to commit suicide twice while in prison, and he actually requested the death penalty as well. Have you ever heard of many people doing that, like requesting the death penalty?
That's I guess in a way, I suppose he would see it as like, you know, like his purpose was gone, like you said. So why should he still be around, you know? And also maybe he was actually, I don't think he would have been, but maybe he was actually remorseful for the killings.
Well, as with usual in Edmund Kemper's life, he didn't get what he wanted. They actually denied him the death penalty.
Yeah.
So then he was imprisoned at another hospital where, you know, he was besides on the same wing as Herbert Mullins, who was actually committed 6 murders in the same area a few years before that, and that was to stop a super earthquake. Apparently, we'll be getting into that maybe in another episode. But you know, but the funniest thing is we don't actually know if he did stop a super earthquake.
Yeah,
he could have.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, exactly. We just have to take him at his word for it.
Yeah.
You know? And Charles Manson, he was also put in the same waters. So yeah,
I've heard of that one. I've definitely heard of him.
Yeah, we'll probably be having an episode on Charles Manson because he's a bit of a he's also a bit of a weirdo.
Yeah, a little bit of a weirdo. He deserves an episode.
He liked getting his dick sucked. That's a lot. That's all we need to know about Charles.
Yeah, he liked getting his dick wet.
Yeah. So while there, he participated in interviews with FBI, law enforcement. He also read out children's books, almost like a podcast. He would do audiobooks, but for children's books. So maybe you grew up listening to Eddie's voice, like soothing you to sleep.
Maybe he was putting like little messages in them that only got really
subliminal
smart
messages.
Yeah, only really smart cunts can understand them. And then
We should give that a listen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's go murder people. Now that Manano and Eddie Kemp has raised me on, you know, on his weird versions of books.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so do you want to guess how many hours he spent narrating children's stories? And this is for the blind as well. So he was doing it almost for charity.
Yeah. Go with 50 hours.
A little bit more than that.
A little bit more. 100 hours.
5,000.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
That's quite a few. That's quite a few hours.
Yeah.
I suppose if you're going to be in prison for the rest of your life, you need something to take up the time.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for Edmund Kemper. I'm pretty sure he died. I can't remember when.
Yeah.
I don't think he's still alive at this point.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Good. And you never know. There might be a fox in some woods skull fucking him.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah,
could
you
be,
never know.
unless it was cremated.
Then I don't know.
It would be a bit of a shame. I think it would be a bit of poetic justice if that was actually happening. If some fox was over there just humping his fucking skull.
Like a hobo or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like a cracked out hobo just in the woods but found a skull.
To be fair, I wouldn't put it past anyone in California.
Yeah.
So, all right. So thank you for listening to Monsters and Maniacs. Any last words there?
No, I don't. Murder's bad. And so is Edmund Kemper. Thank you all for listening. I've been Mark Green.
And I've been Tom. So thank you for everyone listening.